Welcome to SheEO with Sophie. Just a quick note from me. If you like what you hear, go ahead and join the SheEO Club right now by hitting that subscribe button. Not only will you never miss an episode, but you'll also be helping us out more than you know. Thank you and enjoy. Today's guest is where tech savvy meets sales mastery. Meet Amy Horowitz, GVP of Solution Sales and Business Development at Informatica, where she helps global organizations harness the power of data to transform the way they do business. With over 25 years of tech leadership under her belt, Amy doesn't just talk about data governance and integration, she lives it. Armed with a master's degree in leadership and ethics, Amy blends deep technical know-how with sharp strategic insight, bridging the gap between IT and sales like few can. Her passion? Helping companies unlock the full potential of the Informatica Intelligent Data Management Cloud, especially in the areas of data governance and integration. Before Informatica, Amy made her mark leading both IT and enterprise sales teams. And if you ask her, she's just getting started. A proud Texan, mentor, and advocate for the next generation of tech leaders. And today she's bringing her bold vision and infectious energy to our show. Get ready because when Amy talks tech, sales, and strategy, you listen. Let's get going. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the podcast. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm very excited.
Of course. No, I had to. We had such a good chat the other day, and I was like, I just need to speak to you more, and I have so many questions for you. So let's jump in. I'm gonna obviously ask you loads of stuff, but I suppose initially just want to give everyone a little bit of a background to you, who you are, and what you do really.
Sure. So thank you again for having me. So my name's Amy Horowitz. I live in Austin, Texas. I've been here most of my life. I grew up in IT, and from IT, I moved into sales in 2009, and have been in the data space for over 10 years, and I love it. So today I am a group vice president for Informatica. If you don't know Informatica, we're a data management company and really help customers focus on their data management strategy and needs. So our tagline is really interesting. It's everybody's ready for AI except your data. So if you haven't heard of us, let me know and I can teach you all about it.
Yeah,
So
that's a great tagline.
thank
Love that. And
you.
it's so relevant right now. Data is massive. Everyone needs data. And obviously, AI is going to take over the world. So,
That's
great
right.
space to be in. And I love the fact, and this was something that really caught my attention, the fact that you've been within the tech space, you've gone from tech into sales, which I think is awesome. So, there's a lot of questions I have around that. And I want to understand, your thought process and what it looks like for you,
Sure.
and some tips and tricks, obviously. But it was something that I wanted to ask you about. Obviously, you've spent over like 25 years in tech, right? What has been the most pivotal moment in your career so far?
Okay, you're dating me, Sophie. So now everyone
Sorry.
knows how old I am.
Mm, You're young. You're young.
That's a really good question. So when I look back at my career, I think the most pivotal moment in my career was really taking that jump, a major career change in my 30s. So I'd already established myself in IT. I worked, for lots of large companies in the Austin area, one in San Antonio, Texas as well. Making that jump from IT into sales was it was a huge change. So I went from being an individual contributor in IT throughout my career, ended up in a leadership role, ran the client space for certain organizations. I did architecture and engineering. So I did have that technical background, and making the jump to sales, I'd always wanted to do it. And when the dot-com bubble busted, so, 2000s or so, go on these interviews because I'd always wanted to go into sales. And people would say to me, Amy, I love your background. It's great, but I have one open rec and I need to hire somebody with sales experience. And so from that point on, I was like, well, maybe I'm just meant to be in IT. And I had an opportunity at an organization where I was actually negotiating the Microsoft contract on behalf of this company. I was in IT as a director negotiating this contract, and the reseller said, you should go into sales. Have you ever thought about it? So I took a huge risk. My husband was on board at that point. By the way, I had a 6-month-old daughter. So it was a lot of risk. I went from making a lot of good money down to an individual contributor carrying a sales bag, and I have never looked back. So it was very pivotal, not only in my life, but in my career as well.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of daunting. And you say that you always wanted to go into sales. Why?
Well, I think, a couple things. If you look at the typical, what somebody would classify as an IT person,
Mhm.
I have no attention span. So, for me, it's about being able to communicate the high level strategy and what we're doing and how to help people. That's really why I wanted to do it. I would say that people would always say to me, by the way, Sophie, how can you go from being an IT director into sales? And I always say, listen, if you're a good IT leader, you're selling your roadmap anyway. So you're not just keeping the lights on, but you're really working with lines of business and really helping people inside of your organization understand how IT can benefit them. So it was a good move for me. I have not looked back.
But yeah, I can imagine it was such a challenge initially though.
Yeah.
It's a complete different way of thinking almost. And I do completely agree with what you said around if you're a leader, I think any leader, doesn't matter what industry, like you are in sales. And actually I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a HR director the other day,
Right.
and she said something. I was like, "Oh my god, you should go in sales." She was like, "Sophie, I am in sales." She was like, "I have to talk to people all day and sell this business." I was like, I don't think of it that way, but it's so true.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's I agree with you and I agree with your friend. Everybody is in sales. We should all be in sales. And if you're not in sales, you should be working for sales. So that's how I look at it. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And did it take you long to get up and running? Because obviously, someone who's worked in a sales environment for a very long time,
yeah.
the first year is quite daunting. After that, it hopefully picks up. But yeah, how long did it take you to kind of get into the swing of things?
Yeah, for me, it was actually, I will never forget this. My first meeting, I was sitting in a room with a software vendor, and the CIO said, "Hey, Amy, can you step into another room with me?" And he basically was saying, "Listen, I already trust you. I know your background. I need help. Like, I need you to share your best practices of what you did from an IT perspective." I was in IT sales at the time.
Mhm.
"I need you to help me understand people. I need to fill my roles. I need to understand your process." So there was an immediate trust built with me being on the other side of the table. Now, where I struggled personally was I would walk in and go, "Sophie, you need to buy this software. Like, here's how you do systems management. Here's how you run the client space." Like, my brain was already going. Me opposed to writing on the whiteboard, let me do some active listening on what the customers are really looking for versus, "Hey, you have to do this. This is why you need to do it." So it took me about a year to get confidence, not the right word, but just to say, okay, slow your roll, Amy, slow down a little bit. These customers might have different ask or perspectives on what they're trying to do. It's not always enterprise wide like you've done it in the past. So it was definitely a learning experience for me. Learning how to navigate inside of organizations was also came fairly easy to me because of the large organizations I worked in. I had the ability to work with other lines of business. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I feel
yeah,
like I need to go work in tech now, so then
yeah,
I can translate it into sales.
yeah,
Okay. Right, we might have to pivot. I mean, you've touched upon it there, right, about how it did shape, but obviously coming from the IT world and then turning into the sales world, is there any other kind of different approaches that you use that really bridge the IT and business side?
yeah. I think I am a joiner. Like if you ask my chief revenue officer today, he says Amy's a joiner. I join people together. And I think being that glue of IT and other lines of business is really critical. So I think, you know, knowing who to talk to, giving recommendations, helping people that we're selling into, or even IT people understand why we're doing what we're doing and what the value it's going to bring. I think you also have to measure and figure out how it's going to benefit from an ROI perspective. And I think a lot of times in IT, we say, let's just do this because we're keeping the lights on, or let's deploy this technology because it's what Microsoft says we need to do. We should have gone back and said, okay, what's the ROI and how do we do that? And so being in sales, I think that's really helped me.
Think with, what you've mentioned, you were a director for however long within IT, right? So you knew the challenges that these people are facing. So you were
Right.
able to walk into these businesses and say, I understand what your challenges are and I understand it from that technical
Right.
standpoint, which is very rare because it within sales, it takes years to build that market knowledge if you haven't come from your background. So yeah, I think utilizing that knowledge and it gives everyone, trusting yourself, you that kind of credibility of, hey, I've been there and done it and I've got the t-shirt, you know?
Listen, I stumbled. I mean, there were times that I would go in and say, "Hey, this is why I think this is the best thing for you to do." I almost came at it as a almost more of an evangelist versus a salesperson, right? I think some IT leaders see sales as the dark side, because we're always trying to pitch them or sell them. And I think going in saying, "Listen, let's look at your problem. Let's figure out how to resolve it." I failed at a few of those, right? I would come in and say, I mean, look, personality wise, not everybody jives with me. And there's a specific example that stands out with us with a procurement person in a large company in San Antonio that basically said, "We're pulling everything that Amy owns and her company because I don't like her." He literally fell asleep in my RFP presentation. So it was a little bit of a rude awakening to feel like I had the knowledge and evangelize what we need, but then have personality to say, "Nope, sorry, you're not a fit for us." So, by the way, that company came back to us, but that happens. I did stumble some.
Yeah, and we all do. We all do. And I think within sales, it can just be down to whether someone likes you as a person.
Right.
And actually, I think maybe more often than not, it is just down to building relationships. I don't see what I do as sales at all. I just see it's like customer service, just with, a lot higher up,
That's right. That's
Um, yeah, we're just supporting people, we're just figuring out problems and we're helping people solve challenges and that's really all it is. And then obviously you've got to try and sell a little bit, but if you've got a good product and I say know your worth, but know what you're good at, then hopefully it should be straightforward.
That's right. That's right. And you really try to solve, I think, a business problem,
Yeah.
right? You can't just say, "I'm going to sell this to you because."
Mm.
Nothing is worse, by the way, from an IT perspective of having to go to my leader and say, "Hey, I need to renew the software." And they would ask me, "What value did you get?" And I couldn't justify it. So that's really critical in this role too.
Definitely. And again, when you've worked, frontline as a senior person within a business, again, it doesn't have to just be IT, but you have to justify why you're hiring people, why you have the need there, or why you need a software. And again, it's just that you just do the exact same thing, just from a sales perspective.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. Oh, I like how it's just like it's all coming together. So, do you genuinely think that working within technology first set you up for success in your current role?
I do. And I'll tell you why. So this is my undergraduate was in computer information systems
Mhm.
and my master's was actually in leadership and ethics, which is completely opposite of what most of my friends did. And so I think people always say to me, how are you have a technical undergrad, which is really a business degree. How did that help you?" And I think for me, just like being in IT before you go into sales, it gave me that logic. It gave me the ability to build trust. It gave me the ability I had to learn how to actively listen. But being in technology, because I do consider myself technical. Now, if you ask my husband, who's still in IT, he laughs at me because now I'm in sales, but I can hold my own and I can understand problems and technologies that some salespeople can't necessarily understand. Some salespeople grow up, as you know, like total relationship sellers, and that's great. We need all kinds of sellers, but having that technology background helped me with the logic of, okay, if they're doing this, then that kind of a scenario. So
Yeah.
outside of building trust, understanding the technology, and frankly, I think actively learning what the customer needs and what the offerings are from a technology perspective helps in your entire sales process.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that you have a husband in IT as well is great. You can just ask them questions.
Well, so it's funny. That's actually one of the reasons I got out of IT because we were both I was in engineering, he was in operations, and we would get calls in the middle of the night all the time. And it just got to the point of like, I really want to do something different. And I mean, Sophie, that was a huge risk, right? I had a 6-month-old baby. I was, just trying to figure out my own career. And in my 30s, that's why I took the risk. I was like, you know what? I want to try something different. And I honestly, I could not do this role without a partner that can support me, meaning not from a financial perspective, but supporting me traveling, helping at home. I'm very fortunate. So,
Yeah. And from that, I suppose, emotional standpoint as well, changing careers, you
yeah.
need someone that you can chat with. So I have a question actually. Obviously, having a 6-month-old baby when you were changing jobs, how was that? Because that must have been an interesting time.
It was tough at the beginning because I was driving through my territory a lot. I was gone, I was home at night, but during the day it was tough. Again, without a partner like I have, it would have been a lot harder. However, what Lily, my daughter, sees in me today, she's 17, by the way. What she sees in me today is a go getter, a boss babe, as she calls me, and somebody that has not only grown, I would say, a successful family, but also had a really great career. There were times I missed out on things. And I'll tell you this, the one that stands out to me was her kindergarten. Uh, they did a Dr. Seuss thing. And fortunately, Bill did her hair like the Dr. Seuss girl that has the hair sticking up, Cindy Lou Who, if you've ever seen that. And I got
Yeah.
pictures of it and it crushed me. Like it crushed me. Even though it was a 10-minute presentation, it crushed me that I was not there. So from that point forward, I made I made a conscious decision to adjust my travel that would not impact my home life like that. Now, are there times I'm gone? Sure. But I have set boundaries in my career throughout my 25, 35 years, 40 years of working that I'm going to make sure that my family comes first.
I love that, and I think you have to. And as someone who is looking at I suppose, what's next in my life, obviously, career-wise, we're moving, we're doing some great things, and I'm really fortunate. But obviously, thinking about how I'm going to balance, I say balance that because I don't think the term balance is right, but we're going to use it just because it's the easiest thing right now, and my brain's not working. But to balance us a great career like you have done and also, have an incredible family. What are kind of some tips or tricks that have worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am an early riser. I'm an early riser, and in a global company, sometimes that's necessary, right? I get up, I get ready. I might be on email first thing in the morning. I make sure Lily's up. By the way, 17-year-old, getting up early is really tough, but I make sure at 7 a.m. she's up and moving, and I work during the day. And there are times at night that I get back online. Now, I agree that women can have both. I agree that women can have it all, both family and career. It's about how you balance and what you decide, what you decide at that given week of what's important. As an example, next year she's graduating from high school. My schedule will look different. I will have to have flexibility to go to graduation versus a conference that I'm supposed to be speaking on stage. So I think it's balance. I think it's setting a few boundaries. There are times, as an example, where I have some leaders that really get up Saturday morning, literally at 6 a.m. and work until noon. And I have to tell them, stop working. Like, please stop, because then it makes your teams go, oh, should I respond? And I don't want anybody to feel like they have to respond just because of my crazy schedule. So it's about balance
Yeah, balance and boundaries.
and boundaries. Right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, noted. Yeah, I need to work on that. I have got a lot better actually, I think, over the past few years with my boundaries. I used to work, I mean, I still work ridiculous hours, but I mean, I enjoy work. But I know that I need to change that and I need to make sure that I enjoy my time in the US as well. So,
Right. And by the way, this is a new thing for me. So I'm 51 and this is a new thing. Like, I probably would say until I was 48, I did not have boundaries. I work all the time, but like you, I love what I do. By the way, I love Informatica. This role that I'm in today gives me the best of both worlds, where I'm still in sales, but I also have not a dotted line into product, but we're domain experts. And I think that that's also given me the opportunity to do things that I probably wouldn't have done in the past. So
yeah.
it
And
comes, yeah,
I think if you love what you do,
yeah,
like it's not like you're working anyway.
that's right. Have
Yeah.
you ever felt at home? Like, that's how I feel at Informatica. It's so weird. But when I got here, I was like, I'm home. This is where I need to
Yeah.
be. Yeah, I love everybody I work with. We have a great organization, and I'm so grateful to be here.
And I think that's really important. That's something that I've worked for a few different businesses, and I genuinely, and I've actually just gone back. I've gone back to a business that I worked for like 5.5 years because I genuinely feel at home there. Like I feel safe. I feel like there's opportunity. I can see the growth, but I can really see the vision. And I think if you believe in a business and you see the vision and you have ideas, like that is like gold dust. So yeah, I think it makes life easier when you're trying to have a life as well. If you really enjoy where you are and you feel supported, that's all you can ask for.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
And going back into the sales world, I'm really curious now, as someone within the sales space,
Yeah.
from being a client yourself to now working in sales, what do you think from a sales perspective works well and what doesn't?
Oh, this is my favorite question. I joke with my teams. First of all, I think I told you I have no attention span. So, in context of getting ready for a customer meeting, I prepare everyone by saying, imagine you're selling to me. You come into my office, I have no attention span. So, I think it's really critical that sales understands, again, the business problems, what problem we're trying to solve. Don't just say, Sophie, let's go. Let's go. I'm going to take you to golf. Like, okay, that's fine, but you're in my office. Do not waste my time. So I think from a sales perspective, understanding the customer needs, understanding the value we can provide, how can we help them be the rock star in their role that they're in? I have a peer of mine that always says, how is this going to help you? Will this get you promoted? Is there something we can do to make your light shine brighter? Can we have you on a podcast? What can we do to help you be successful? And so I think that's what will help from a sales perspective, especially depending on the persona. If you're dealing with somebody that is an architect, right? They might care about the details, whereas the C-level executive might want the higher level overview. So being able to tailor your pitch and your position of what you're pitching based on the persona will help you a lot. So just think about it when you're talking to IT leaders, they have so much on their plate most of the time. Do not waste their time for
Yeah.
any executive, frankly, not just IT.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that.
Yeah.
The other day, someone mentioned to me, do your value add first, and then you can have like the ching wag and all of that stuff. But like, people don't have time nowadays. Like, you just have to crack on, should we say?
I think the other thing that frustrated me as an IT leader was when people would come and show their logo slide. Like they'd say, look at all these, look at all your peers. We're doing all this for all of your peers and we need to do it for you too. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but let's talk about my business. I if you're in there, that means I probably see some value in you already. I
Yeah,
don't need at that point in the sales cycle to know who my competitors are that you're selling to.
I already know who they are. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, that's good. Those are some good tips because I'm literally going to note them down. And being a senior leader, obviously both within the sales side and technology side, they are known to be very male dominant environments, right?
Yes.
How have you found it? Have you faced like any major challenges being female?
Yeah. So I would say early in my career, let me just be clear. There's a difference, in my opinion, between passion and emotion. And I think, I was tagged very early on. This was 1996. Again, I'm dating myself. 1996 in IT at a large organization. I was super passionate about the client space. And I remember I got tagged by a senior leader as being very emotional. And so it's hard to back out of that perception in an organization. That's the first thing. So really being tagged as emotional is really hard and it's happened to me. The other thing from a sales perspective is just because I'm nice doesn't mean I can't negotiate. And so I think people have me tagged as, oh, she's great, but listen, she shouldn't really be negotiating that deal. Or yeah, she has the relationship, but she doesn't need to be negotiating that at all. Like she can talk to that large organization. Reality is, I'm good at what I do. And people that know and have given me the opportunity see that as well. So, battling that perception of just because I'm a woman, I'm not good at negotiating. Now, the one thing I don't settle for, Sophie, I will tell you this. I don't buy the thing of, hey, I'm not invited to play golf. I don't buy that. Like, we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to be the ones asking for the raise. We have to be the one. We have to negotiate. We have to advocate for ourselves. So I used to get this all the time. Listen, in IT, women make a lot less than men. That's not true. Like where I was, I asked for what I wanted. And most of the time I got it. Yeah, of course, there are people that say, no, you can't do that. But I don't buy, hey, I don't ever get invited to golf, or I'm never invited to stand at the water cooler and talk. Go, like inject yourself. Go tell. And by the way, most people might not know that you golf. Go tell them, give them the heads up that you want to do that. People don't read our minds. So we can't assume that so and so didn't invite me to golf. They probably don't even know you golf. So I also don't believe in settling. Like I feel like if you feel like you're in the wrong role, there is other stuff out there that will make you happy and make you successful. So don't ever give up and keep working for what you want to go for.
Wow. I mean, yeah, mic drop right there. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And I think as I've progressed through my career, it's definitely something that I used to be afraid of asking for what I wanted, and I think now I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm gonna ask for what I want." And I
Right.
think also it helps when you have experience, but, I think men do it. I work in recruitment, I see it. I see
Yes.
people outright asking for things that I'm like, "Wow,"
Yeah.
and they get it. So, we just have to do the same thing. And same thing, if you want to go and play golf, yeah, like you say, go and play golf. I might need to learn how to do it first, but I'll figure that one out when I get there. But yeah, just put yourselves in these situations and be seen, be heard, be in those rooms, but you have to put yourself there because no one's going to do it for you. And this has come up time and time again. No one's going to literally push you into those rooms.
That's
People
right.
might give you a helping hand, but
That's
you
right.
have to do it yourself.
1000%. 1000%. I also think it's really important that we support each other.
Mm.
So I think it's called back talk, where you're in a room and you agree. Sophie just brought this up earlier. This is a great idea. What do you think? I think that's really important because most of the time it's one or two of us at the table. So I think that's really important as part of our growth journey too.
I agree. And that's obviously why I started something like this. It's creating an amazing network. And I think even in my role, if I can help other women, like I will.
Love it.
I want to see people do well and I want to help people that maybe are in the same position as me or are maybe not quite to where I am, but want to get there. If I can help you, I will. And that's everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. I
I
think,
agree.
help
I
help everyone. Yeah.
totally agree.
So another question I have then is just around that sales piece is what do you see as a strength that we have as women
Mm.
within the sales role?
Yeah, I think number one, being able to balance everything, right? Being able to balance our schedule, our workout time, our golf, our whatever, our dogs, our family, whatever we do. So being able to balance by nature. I would also say I find myself nurturing a little bit more than some because I guess because I'm a mother, I've always had that gene. But being able to build those relationships with executives, I think being able to say, "Hey, listen, I hear you, I understand." um, it's to me that is what makes successful sales women happy, right? Being able to build that relationship, help, to your point about helping people out. I don't care what role you're in or who you are. I think by nature I want to help people. That is my goal in life, is to plant the seed and watch them grow, not just from a career development perspective for my teams, but for our customers. Again, the question of what is this going to do for you? That's really what I focus on. So,
And I think lean into that, and I definitely lean into that relationship side. That's what I love about, I say sales, because again, I really don't believe that I'm in it. I'm literally in a relationship business that is, focused on how I can support whoever it is that I'm working with, and actually people that I might not be working with. How can I support you? But yeah, when I see the results, it all comes just from relationships and there's so many clients and professionals that I've worked with over the years that I still speak with now, and I absolutely love that.
right.
I get this feeling when, I spoke to someone the other day. I'm heading to London soon, and I literally was like, "Hey, I'm in London." Known this guy for like 5 6 years. I'm excited to go see this person just
Yeah.
because I know them. It's so weird.
I love that. I love that. And it's always funny when you're in a scenario and you go, "Hey, let me look at LinkedIn and see if I'm connected." Oh my gosh, I have 53 connections. True story. I had a customer lunch with my boss last Friday, And I literally had 53 connections with this guy. And it was people from the 90s that I'd worked with. It was my old boss at another company. I mean, I agree with you. Keeping those connections open is just, it's so fun. I love it. And I think it just helps build who we are, not only from a network perspective, but people see how you operate, who you are, and your core integrity about having those connections. So I love that.
And you never know where it's gonna lead you. You know, the amount of times in a sales role, someone will pop up that you spoke to 10
Yeah.
years ago and go, "Hey, Soph, I need this." And you're like, "Oh, wow, I have not spoken to you forever." Or you might
Yeah.
need an introduction somewhere and you know who you can call, or you want information, whatever it may be, you don't know what's gonna happen. So, yeah, definitely kinda utilize your network, stay in touch with people. I think that's just a superpower that a lot of people don't do.
I know. I agree. I think, when I've seen really successful salespeople, not men or not one or the other salespeople, it is all about relationships, building that relationship, driving the value with those customers. And just, I think it's so amazing to watch your network grow and helping your sales friends grow. I mean, I just think it's the key to what we do. I think people are the key to everything we do.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think it's definitely more enjoyable than just trying to hit numbers and KPIs. If you just
Mhm.
enjoy your job, speak to
Mhm.
people, be a good person, have integrity, then
Right.
you will make it happen somehow.
I think you also have to ask for the sale, right? I mean, I think there's sometimes, and I think this is the perception sometimes of women in sales is because you are the relationship person, you have the integrity and you have the calm nature sometimes that this is where I run into problems where people think I can't negotiate a deal. They think I won't ask for the sale. And reality is I'm just as tough as they are. So I'm happy to ask for the sale.
Yeah. So I've had this actually recently. I would love to get your opinion on it while we're here. So I had it recently where there's a client that I've been trying to get into for quite a while. I feel like we could really add value. We work right within their sweet spot, know what their challenges are. I'm like, okay, we're here, we can do it. But I feel like every time we meet up, like obviously we have really good relationship, we get on really well. And I ask for the sale,
Yeah.
but it just is like banging my head against the wall sometimes and I haven't done the sale yet. So I'm like, how any tips or anything that you think this could help you try and get this moving?
Yeah. So first of all, never give up. So I think when we run into those scenarios,
Yeah.
we move on or we say, yep, that's a really cold lead. I have a relationship. I'll come back to him. That's okay to come back to him, but don't ever give up. Keep him warm, keep him nurtured, right? That's the best way to do it. I would say also, are you trying to align with what their go to market is? So because you and I feel like it's the right time and the right thing, does it align to their strategic vision and what they're trying to do? If the answer is no, then we need to help them find that. Leverage chat gpt or perplexity or something to say if I was the hiring manager of this organization, what would be important to me? Leveraging those tools will help you find some nuggets that you might not have. And then finally, just keep doing what you're doing. It will pay off because I think for us, out of sight, out of mind. There's so many people out in the market today that are trying to do the same thing we are, even though we have a better differentiator. Out of sight, out of mind comes into play. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I always say, well, actually, I make a joke to people. I go, yeah, I might be annoying, but a lot of people call it persistent. You
Yeah,
know?
that's right. They'll never forget you. They'll never forget the value that you bring and how you help them. So
Yeah.
just keep doing it.
Okay, thank you. Noted. I will
Yeah.
keep going. Amazing. Well, this has been so useful. I feel like I'm going to ask you so many more questions, and I'm going to think of some more, especially like with my day to day, that I can get over to you probably after this because
Yep.
I feel like you can support. So we do have a closing tradition on this podcast, and I'm really intrigued to hear your answers. So, well, I should say answers. We only say what is one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Oh, that's so hard
I know.
because I have many, right? Like I have a lot. And I don't know if you want me to tell you, I think the number one thing is to take a risk. Like, even if you feel like it is so uncomfortable, I would not be where I am today without taking that risk of taking a huge pay cut, going back to an individual contributor role, learning the process of sales, and moving forward. I literally look back on my career and go, wow, what an amazing opportunity I've had, but I only did it because I took a risk. That's it. I have so many other options, but taking a risk is my number one.
Yeah, and I completely agree. It's very scary to take a risk, but I promise you it will work out for the better.
That's right.
And if not, you'll learn from it, and
That's right.
then you'll move on. And if you do have maybe one or two small nuggets, I'll let you say them as well.
Okay, number one, take a risk. Number two, get a mentor. So find somebody, in my opinion, as an example, if you're in sales and it's okay to have somebody in sales, but why not go to the CFO of your organization to understand how the business is run? Why not go to IT, the CIO, figure out how, from an IT perspective, the business is run? Build yourself some business acumen that you might not have. So find a mentor outside of your current, I would say, reporting structure. That's the second one. So I said, take a risk, find a mentor, and then know that everything will be okay, right? There will be opportunities for you to continuously learn, and you should do it. That's honestly why my master's is in something completely different than my undergrad. I was signed up to do an MBA, and the university called me and said, listen, you should look at this master's of science program, which is in leadership and ethics, because with your technical background, IT people sometimes don't have the best communication skills. So maybe this is some way that you could go and help kind of change the trajectory at your company. So just continuously learning too is something I would say.
Yeah. And that one around the mentor piece, I've never heard anyone say that, like go to someone that's
Yep.
not like you. That's a really good bit of advice.
Yeah, listen, I mean, of course, people will say, find a sales leader that's really performing, do what learn how they do it. That's all about sales process.
Mm,
Wouldn't it be great if you understood business acumen? Next time you're selling into the CFO, you understand how we do it and why we do it that way. It's also about executive alignment, like getting your self visibility with other leaders outside of your reporting chain is critical. When it comes time for a promotion, guess what? Those folks are your champions. So do that.
yeah. That's a really good point. And I do think if you work in sales and you've been doing it for a little while, you probably know what the say top salespeople are doing. You know how to get to the top. It's up to you to implement it. And obviously you can have people that hold you accountable, but that's all like we say, a work setting. I think if you take yourself out of that and go speak to the CFO or you go speak to other people, yeah, it gives you a whole different perspective that the top salespeople aren't doing.
That's right. We could do a whole session on mentoring. I mean, this is my jam. Like, this is what my thesis was on. And it's so important that when you're building a mentor slash mentee relationship, you set expectations.
Yeah.
So I will not get my feelings hurt if you came to me and said, Amy, this isn't working out. Here's what I'm trying to get out of this relationship. Both of us should be learning something. So it's okay to ask and set boundaries and expectations of the role. So I want everybody out there to know that it is okay for you to say, not working out, Sophie. I think I need a different mentor. It's okay. Like both of you, again, should settle or agree, not settle, agree upon what the outcome should be.
And the expectations piece is really key. There's a lot of people I know that will go into coaching sessions, mentor sessions, and they don't know what they want to get out of it. So
That's
you
right.
need to have an idea.
That's right. That's so true. Yes.
Oh, amazing. Okay, this has been so good and so useful, so helpful. So I really appreciate you taking the time today. Like I say, I'm going to send you so many more questions because, yeah, we've got some catching up to do. But I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time.
Of course. So happy to do it. Thank you for including me. And I look forward to hearing the final cut.